All right, welcome back to the Global Business Report on the Rise News. I have some results here. AXA Mansard Insurance PLC, member of the AXA Group, announced its financial results for half year ended June 30th, 2021. The company recorded a profit after tax, 2.2 billion naira, 37% down from the 3.6 billion naira in June of 2020. Joining us to discuss the insurance sector is the former chairman of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and the current chairman of Sunu Assurances Plc, Mr. Kyari Bukar. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So look, there's a raft of results coming out. Sunu Assurance declared a profits full year 2020, but first half of this year, AXA was down. There's been some challenges. Can you talk through the challenges that your sector has faced?
The major challenge this year, at least the first half of the year, had been the claims that came from the endsars demonstration or the disturbances. A lot of businesses in that Lekki axis has been burnt and destroyed, and some actually extend throughout the country. And according to NIA, the Nigerian Insurance Association, total claims amounted to somewhere in the neighborhood of 21 billion, just on endsars alone, yes. And for us at Sunu, it was close to 1.13 billion.
That's your percentage of that total?
That's what we have been tapped for, let me put it that way. And we have settled significantly, nearly all of it, this half of the year, and therefore it's a strange year. In one sense, it was great for our top line. Our gross written premium crossed 3 billion naira for the first time. Compared to last year, that's about 60% up. Last year around this time, we did 2 billion. Of course, the profitability was affected. Q1, we had a manageable 200 and, about $250 million in claims. Second half, it was $500 million as a result of that endsars discussion. So endsars has truly taken a bite out of the industry. But the interesting aspect of all of this is that our gross written premium went up in an economy where things are going down. The pandemic has hit us tremendously. In all of those, we ended up gaining a huge share of the market. That basically means that Sunu, since Sunu Group came into Nigeria, the statement we've been making to our clients is that whenever there is a claim, we pay, we settle as quickly and reasonably as possible. And that had actually raised our profile in the market, and also as keeping to those promises, we've managed to gain more business.
That makes complete sense because, for insurance, there are some segments of customers who complain that some companies don't respond to claims as quickly. So with you responding quickly, that then has resulted in market share increasing. As more results roll in from the sector, do you see more struggles along the way? Or things
I think for the first half, we will see that. That's an industry trend. However, what we are projecting out for the rest of the year is that it's going to be better than last year. Last year, growth, because of the pandemic, was negative compared to the year prior. Year prior, it was 584 billion in total gross written premium, according to NIA. 2020 was 504 billion. Now, that's a reduction of nearly 15%. Now, however, this year, from what I see, from our side of the equation, we're seeing close to 56-60% growth first half. The momentum may not necessarily be exactly the same in the second half because most customers, especially corporate customers, have already booked their insurance needs. Therefore, the second half would be some renewals and then additional businesses that we would add. So we are projecting a decent year. And also, don't forget that investment rates, interest rates have been inching up gradually.
Right.
So our investment income would particularly be more exciting than last year's.
Thank you so much for that. What are some of the, MSARS aside, and that which was like an anomaly, we can call it that.
Right.
What about the existing challenges that the insurance sector faces in Nigeria?
Generally, so as an industry, our penetration rate is sub 1.5% or thereabouts.
Low.
Now, that's extremely low. Comparing us to, say, South Africa, where it is, I believe, over 5%, or even Ivory Coast in our region within West Africa, Cote d'Ivoire is decent. I think it's around 3.5% or thereabouts. So, and the key question is, why is it that in Nigeria, insurance is not taking up as it should? I think one is general awareness. But, a person starts, maybe when you went to primary school, you got a birthday gift and you open a savings account. That's a natural financial evolution of a human being.
Right.
Start with a savings book or whatever, and then move into checking account when you get a job, and then from there begin investing in the capital markets when you start saving for a house or a building or buy a car or whatever. And then you need to then begin to think about protecting those assets. Now, that's the last element, which is insurance in general. And that aspect of awareness or education is not being done neither by the industry very effectively, nor generally in the four walls of the academia where kids go through in their formative years. And then, of course, there is the Nigerian adage, it's not my portion. That aspect also plays some role,
Indeed. Okay, so there's been so many unfortunate accidents, markets catching fire, tankers exploding on the road, flooding. Would you expect that all these sad events would promote or push the need to get insurance or for awareness to capitalize on those events? No, well, not when I say capitalize, but I guess
it's an opportunity.
Right.
So what we have actually tagged our own growth is, as I stated earlier, the prompt payments of claims. But the second thing, which we still haven't put our fingers on, is that with the endsars destructions, as bad as they are, a call for people to begin thinking of investing in insurance or buying insurance premiums. I think in some cases, businesses, yes. Individuals and also individual-owned businesses, small micro enterprises, there has to be that. There has to be a general awareness increase for us all to feel that. I mean, one example is third-party insurance for cars. I believe, depending on who you ask, the numbers is somewhere between 15 and 16 million cars in the country. Wow. Now, if I tell you that only 6 million cars are insured in Nigeria, how would you react?
I would react with shock.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a low number.
And third party being a mandatory insurance,
right,
which basically means everybody ought to have it. So even if the success rate were 80%, it would have been at least 2x of that, number. So essentially there is a lot of money left on the table. Now, and so it just tells you why, some rickety car can come close to you and they don't mind, hitting you. Whereas you that would think of, the repairs and what is my insurance claim going to look like, would rather avoid that. So, but if the whole country is covered, then there is enough for the industry to now plow back that into those incidences. Exactly with the fire, markets, buildings collapsing, just name them. There are all kinds of insurance that can cover those. Unfortunately, majority of the citizens of this country are not properly insured.
There's on the mandatory side, so I guess it's an issue of enforcement not being met. So is that something that government can assist or agencies, I guess?
Yes, the primary regulator in the insurance industry, NICOM, has actually been doing some things about it in conjunction with the industry. What we're going to roll out is basically using technology to assess whether a car going on the streets is insured or not. And it's basically a simple device that would check on the car's particulars. Because if someone shows you their insurance certificate, you'd never know whether it is genuine or fake.
Right.
However, if it is just electronically verified at the back end of a single database where the regulator actually has visibility to, then we can hand it over to the people on the streets, whether it is FRSE or the police. Then the loop is going to be closed. And in such a situation, we can see that majority of the cars that are going to go on the streets must be insured. And I believe there is also discussions of whether the pricing is right, and also are the industry players sticking to those minimum price? Because when you start chasing to the bottom, then everybody would be harmed as a result.
I'm glad you brought that up. In the aviation sector, there's some talk that tickets are not reflecting reality and that the players there should raise ticket prices. But then if they did, there'd be some issues with how end users would react. So what about insurance? Since you mentioned pricing.
Exactly. So particularly the third-party insurance for cars, the minimum rock bottom price that the regulator put was 5,000.
Right, that is correct. Yes.
So you can actually use your USSD or mobile to purchase that third-party insurance. Now, if I tell you that some people are actually charging 50% of that, now that's a violation of the regulation.
Well, that wouldn't cover anything, would it?
Exactly. How would it cover? So the simple business model would tell you that that's the wrong move in the first place. Two, if everybody starts chasing to the bottom at the end of the day, we are literally destroying the entire industry. So the game is that, one, it should be it should be a sustainable pricing regime. With the devaluation of the Naira, the price of car had more than tripled,
right,
or quadrupled actually.
But yet insurance.
Yet insurance is going down,
right?
So it just doesn't make sense. So
exactly.
A rational human being would say that, even the premium, the 5,000, ought to be something higher. And I think the industry players are waking up to that reality, and I believe soon we may see a review of that. But the critical piece is that enforcement from the players themselves and the regulator. Once there is a single database of how you write your premium as an industry player, then the regulator can actually look at that over your shoulders in real time.
Right.
Then they can respond accordingly.
Fantastic. You mentioned devaluation there. The economic realities that the average Nigerian is facing, the increase in poverty and so on and so forth, does that impact the industry in terms of the amount of coverage you think? I mean, I know you've already mentioned awareness and other issues, but
right.
The basic kitchen table issues Nigerians face, does that affect?
In a sense, yes, because it's a purchasing power, the power for me to buy, of course, the Maslow's law or hierarchy plays at any time.
Right.
The first thing a human being wants is food, shelter, and then the rest, right? Clothing and the transportation and all of that. So as you go through those hierarchy, then you find insurance somewhere there. And for you to even think about having an insurance, you ought to have an asset worth insuring.
Right.
Of course, life insurance for any person who is employed is mandatory. Those are the two, car third party and group life. Now, anything outside of that, it's a discretionary spending for the family. For those of us that, as students, long time ago, sold insurance as a part-time gig, selling life insurance is very difficult. But if you actually sell it across the dining table in a family with the chairman of the house seated across, the husband tend to agree to whatever the wife decides.
Right.
Because the decision maker in that purchase is usually going to be the wife. And we can actually see those kinds of dynamics play out as we see better opportunities for young people to aspire to a better life. However, the economy is at the underlying factor in whether the industry is going to do good or not long term.
Fantastic conversation. Mr. Kyari Bukar, Chairman, Sunu Assurances Plc, thank you so much for joining us to talk about the insurance sector. Really appreciate having you.
Thank you.